Kathy and Jeff here. This short video is to help 6th grade teachers with Unit 4, which is getting ready for the science fair.
6th grade students are able to participate in the Worcester Regional Science Fair, which is held on the campus of WPI in May. Each school is able to send 10 projects to this regional event. There are a few steps that you need to follow and some easy paperwork that needs to be submitted on a timeline.
So the first step is going to the website for the Worcester Regional, which is wrsef.org, and checking on the date for this year's event. So let's go ahead and do that now. The date for this year's event is May 1st. There is a tab on the left for the middle school fair. This is where you can find the forms and timeline for submission. It's not necessary for a school to hold its own science fair in order to enter the regional. Students involved in research or independent projects may enter directly. Team projects of up to 3 students may participate. Let's click here for more information on the science fair process and how to enter the Worcester Regional Science and Engineering Fair.
This document, How to Enter the Worcester Regional Fair, walks you through each step. In step 1, students identify their questions and write out the steps and materials they will need to conduct the experiment or solve an engineering design problem. In both cases, safety is step 1. Students must complete the Research Plan Form 1A and B and Form C and D if necessary. These forms are sent to the Regional Committee and reviewed to make sure the project is safe and the students follow the rules.
All right, so let's take a look at Research Form 1A and 1B. When I click on those, you'll see that there's information to be entered at the top about the student, there's a parent email, and some teacher information. The project must not involve the following materials. Make sure to read this box and make sure that student projects do not involve any of these materials. If you need Form C, which is only for a project involving humans in any form, you can attach Form C to this research plan proposal. Make sure you check these appropriate boxes, that you've read the above and the project does not involve any of the materials, that your project involves human subjects, and then you need to complete Form C. Your research plan needs a designated supervising adult, and then you'd need to submit Form D. There are some required signatures here, and you then have students complete this information about their project. Make sure that they type or print neatly because teachers do read through each of these proposals. What is the question or problem the student is trying to answer? What is their hypothesis? What materials would be used? And what is the method or procedure described in detail for the project? This form gets sent to the Regional Safety Review Committee by the deadline listed on the form.
Form C is only used if the project involves human subjects. Let's say a student wants to conduct an experiment to see who's a better free throw shooter in basketball, boys or girls. They need to complete Form C, informed consent for each person in their experiment. Form D is also a safety measure and is only used if a student would be using tools or chemicals or materials that could pose a safety hazard. Let's say a student wants to build a prototype for a wind turbine and would need to use tools to cut the materials and build it. They would need to submit Form D, indicating that an adult was supervising the project.
So these forms are submitted to the Regional Committee usually in February. Make sure that you take a look at the deadline date and mail them to the supervisor of the Regional Safety Committee. We have this grade 6 unit running in November to December to allow you ample time to work with your students and then help your final 10 do additional research or work to create a winning project in the spring. So do complete the forms now, but then sit on them until February. In February, send the forms for your 10 projects to the committee. These forms get screened by the safety committee and sent back to the school. Project proposals are screened to make sure they follow all of the rules and regulations. If you want to see the list of rules, go back to the website and click on Middle School Rules and Regulations. If any of your projects are returned with potential safety violations, there is time to fix that prior to the event.
To actually enter the fair, let's go back to the website and look at the registration form. It's pretty easy to fill this one out, but do be mindful of the deadline. So here students fill out their information. They say whether or not they need an electrical outlet, whether or not they can be photographed, and then there's a school section with the teacher's name, school address, a school phone number.
So now let's continue scrolling down the WRSEF website and take a look at the scoring sheet to see how the projects will be judged. In our experience, we've seen some great projects and great ideas, but often a project loses points down here in thoroughness and written records and report. This is a good opportunity to incorporate ELA skills into the project by having students conduct a literature search, which means asking them to look up information on the topic and write a brief research paper. Students employ good science practice skills by maintaining good written daily records in a science notebook. Also notice down here that the visual presentation is only worth 5 points. While the project board should be visually appealing, the high scoring points are up here in ingenuity and creativity, written records, thoroughness, knowledge of the project area, and the scientific approach.
Information about the day of the fair is here at the bottom of the website. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us for support as you help your students prepare for the regional.
Jeff and I created a video that you can show to students on how to do a science fair project. You'll see a link to the video on our Moodle site along with many other helpful resources. Let's take a look at what's on the Moodle site for Unit 4.
We'll start in our Office 365, go to the waffle grid, and select Moodle. Next is District Programs, Science and Technology Engineering, Grade 6. Scroll down to Unit 4. Here you'll see that this unit is 6 weeks in length, along with the big ideas and essential questions. Take a look at our note here. Do not feel that you have to have 30 different independent science projects for this unit. Consider doing one experiment with your class and then have students think of a next step kind of a question, or ask them to conduct another experiment, changing one of the variables from the experiment you did in class. They can still do research, collect and analyze data, and make a presentation board without you having to monitor 30 different topics. If you choose this method and do the work in class, you can better support your students with the process of science and then select the best projects or presentations to represent your school.
Let's go and take a look at the curriculum map for this unit. Here we have the 8 science practices, and then in the box below, a little more explanation of those science practices. If we scroll down, you'll also see in our curriculum map that we have the big ideas and the essential questions. We have the box for knowledge, or what students should know as a result of this unit, and what students will be skilled at in doing this science fair unit. You'll also see that we have our key academic vocabulary as tier 1, 2, and 3 words. This is followed by a template that helps you to kind of plan out the steps you need to support your students through each part of the project.
Next, you'll see a link to our video, Journey to the Science Fair. This video will help students understand what's involved in a science or engineering project. There are links here to many resources that will support your work with the students.
So to wrap up, take a look at wrsef.org and then look for the timeline and forms for the regional. Have your students fill out forms 1A and B. You can then see how the students do on their projects and select the top 10 to represent your school at the regional.
Fill in the registration form for these 10 projects and send those to the committee by the registration deadline, and get ready to see your students compete against students from other districts. This is where we've seen our Worcester students shine, taking home many top placements over the past 7 years.
Good luck to all of you, and make sure to reach out to us with any questions you have along the way.